Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Peter Kennedy, Kennedy's Garage, Portlaw. What have we got today? Just because I jumped into another Mazda and I thought maybe again it might be some bit interesting for you, but we have a 2016 Mazda 6 with 150,000 kilometers on it. We have no lights at all on the dash, which does happen to me quite often. What happens is these cars go elsewhere. Other lads then might take out a battery. On these Mazdas, when you disconnect the battery, it clears faults. So the minute you go in to look for faults, you have no faults if someone else was in there before you. Or you'd often see where lads might clear faults, drive a car, and then once they do that, you have no faults to start it. So what is actually happening to me today on a test drive, when I drive it, and maybe I should try and show you there in a second. When I drive, I have boost as far as 3,000 RPM, but then I have no boost thereafter. And on these, anyone that knows them, there's a bi-turbo in them, so there's two turbos. One for low down, it's a lower or smaller high pressure turbo. So it creates big pressure between here and here. And due to control, then it swaps around 2,500 RPM or so onto the bigger low pressure turbo. And it kind of runs both of them nearly thereafter. But at low RPM, it only uses the smaller high pressure. We have loads of boost low down, so our smaller turbo is doing its job the finest. If it's not, my mantra or my attack process might be different. But on this occasion, what I'm aware of is I'm not getting control of the top turbo to give me increased boost. What I look at a lot on these things is that they're regulating valve position desired and regulating valve position sensor. So generally key on, engine off, it's kind of reading a silly number. You might see maybe minus 600. It's measured actually in millimeters, but yeah, I can't make sense of that millimeters. All I'm going to do is I'm going to make sense of that. If that's what I should have, that's what I want basically. So my desired and my actual. Up here, same thing. We have manifold absolute pressure desired, manifold absolute pressure sensor. So actual is that one, desired is that one. Now, when I drive, I probably should have had, I've been recording this actually, going off to get a couple of bolts actually. I think they're stuck in my back pocket. And usually I test drive cars and bring them off to do something or try and do two jobs at one time. But what we have is at points or above 2,000 RPM, that's dropping off down to a stupid number, as I said there, which I'll show you in a moment if I can. Okay. So I can't tell you that I know what 218 is, but I do know it's below, so it's down below that point. 0.81, excuse me. It goes really low, and when it goes really low, could even go down to 600. Can I go next frame? Yeah, it goes minus 600. So I think when the key on, engine off, we'll see that kind of a position. When we started then, due to vacuum pump, focus, due to the vacuum pump working once the car is started and the control solenoid, so regulating solenoid valve, come on, focus. Okay, it goes back up to our 19, but once I hit 2,000 RPM or above, I have no boost. And that's when I see that crack happening. Might have been nicer if we had maybe throttle position in here as well, but I didn't because I wasn't recording this for YouTube. I was actually just recording it for my own knowledge base. Okay, how do I want to do that? I was trying to get the camera to focus as well. Okay, so what I'm going to show you, you can see this. So regulating position versus desired versus reality. Scroll on. I would have come off the throttle and then press the throttle again. We can see the bottom line starting to rise. According as it's starting to rise to our desired position, right there, I would have boost back again. Okay? And then it will decide to drop off. Now, I don't know how this thing is going to focus now because I pressed on the screen, which made it focus on that a moment ago. But if you can see me, that is what we're going after, and it's going to be fairly straightforward. And I've done a couple of videos on this before, but every day I get better at these and I learn more, which in theory you're going to see on video, which is going to teach and learn ye more. these are not tutorials. These are only my day, what I do, and hopefully it'll help you. Sometimes people will give out to me about a tutorial and say, oh, your tutorial, you speak too fast, or you dirty hands in the customer's car. You shouldn't. Look, I'm only just in my day, switch on the camera, you see me as you see me, and you're getting to see what I'm going to say off the bat. No bloopers like Diagnosed Dan. It's all running straight forward. I don't cut out much, it's just zoom, straight on. But what I'm going to try and show is we're going to go out and do a little test here. We have a couple of videos similar to this, but what I'm going to show is, I suppose, my test pass, where I'm going to start and how I'm going to find this thing, okay? Will I show you actually fault codes? We're going to go back to resume. And go back all the way, I think. Sometimes I find if I fault scan, it actually does it faster than trying to go into the engine control module specific. So powertrain control module. Now sometimes you can get a check engine light on in here and not have faults on manufacturer specific, but they do come up in OBD, but we have no faults at this point in time, okay? So, right, get back to the garage, start our diagnosis going on this thing and see where I decided just for recording purposes I actually would show you. So accelerator pedal position. Hey doggy, the old marble boy. Accelerator pedal position I put into the mix here, and also what I've done is circling the car and the beepers are going off. We have our regulating valve, we have our manifold pressure desired and actual brake booster pressure. What I was thinking while driving, because the brake booster pressure has a one-way valve on it, okay? So coming from the vacuum pump up to the brake booster servo, we have a one-way valve, and once it gets vacuumed down, as you've seen in other videos, once it gets vacuumed down and the one-way valve is in there, even if we lose it at the vacuum pump side of that one-way valve, we won't see it here. So what I was thinking was, while I was driving, when I had no boost above 2000 RPM and this crack was going on, I was actually going to be driving with my right leg and touch the brake pedal a couple of times. What that was going to do was dissipate vacuum from the one-way valve into the brake booster side, and in theory I was going to see real time what we had before the one-way valve at the vacuum pump, and in theory all the way down to all of my vacuum lines going onto the back of the turbo, in theory. So that's what I have done. So I'm just driving at this point in time. I'm looking for, I've wide open throttle, as you can see there. Look down here, my desired, my actual are a million miles away from each other. I have no boost. Regulating valve, desired and actual. So my actual, that is not basically in its closed or open position or whatever it may be. Hard to figure out with these turbos, but it's not sending air through the bigger turbo, so it's not boosting, okay? While I have the throttle at 100%. So I'm foot to the floor. Now what I did do here, I would say, because that vacuum reading is 8.65, at that point I've probably touched the brake a couple of times. Just gonna go a little bit further and see. I probably didn't get the vacuum any more down. Dog, go away from my car. Look at him out there, look. Standing right in front of it. I can turn off them things somehow. Hey. I probably didn't get the vacuum any lower than that, did I? Or was it a bit further on? I'm just trying to see what I can see in it. I'm not paying any attention to anything now other than the vacuum. Okay, I would suggest that around here I was starting to press the brake while driving, because my throttle is wide open, my vacuum was starting to dissipate slightly. But lo and behold, my desired and my actual regulating valve position are a million miles away from each other. So we had at least 15 kPa, kilopascals of vacuum in the system, and we had no control here. So I would suggest that we're going to have a solenoid gone here. I will show you how I'll diagnose it. The starting point I've gone for is to come out, and I think I've shown this again a couple of times, was to pull a little vacuum pipe off my vacuum pump, and then with my MITI-Vac, pull a vacuum on the actual control solenoids and then up to our turbos. But it shouldn't get through any of the control solenoids once they're not being switched on. They should be able to hold or stop flow while they're switched off, in a sense, because the car is turned off. But, and I was thinking quite fast and quite easily, I was going to see a position where I had a leak in here, from here down onto the control solenoids, but I don't. So it's not, unless it's intermittent, which we do see that. At this stage anyway, I do not have a leak by any of the pipes or any of the control solenoids that are in here. So, right, the hunt is going to have to continue a little bit more. We're going to have to probably get it inside in the workshop. I'm only out in the yard at this point in time. And we'll just see what the heck is going on here. I've just pulled in this Mazda 6 there about 30 minutes or so ago. Pulled out the airbox, pulled out the battery. Wanted to get in to have a look to see what's happening in it. These actuators, I've tested all of them with my little MIDI vac here. You don't need to probably know this, but the top one is the vacuum to it. The second one in then is the control. Same one over here. We have vacuum on the very, very top, control in the middle, and then the third one in, or the closest one to the block connector, is just a vent. Same thing down here. We have a little control solenoid down here. Top one is again vacuum, middle one is control for the actual actuators, and then we have the vent up the very top closest to the butt connector. What am I going to say? Right, well, I can't see a whole lot wrong in here. I've gone in, because I see nothing wrong vacuum related, I pulled the vacuum on the control solenoid, so I have no leakage past any of the three control solenoids. I also then went in and I pulled the vacuum on the control lines to verify that the lines and the vacuum canisters on all three of them, the wastegate, the changeover flap, and then the regulating valve down here, and all three of the canisters are holding, and the pipe work to them, because I'm testing from the control solenoids. That control solenoid there is controls the actual wastegate up here. That control solenoid here controls the regulating valve at the back, and then this one down here, the strange or different type one on the side of the block connector or whatever underneath them control solenoids is controlling that changeover flap. Everything in there is working. So right now I'm kind of a fast stump. I actually got my screwdriver just to make sure my big turbo was spinning freely and not getting stuck to create any problems while I'm driving it. But then it's not that, because we had our control solenoid, we had our regulating valve in a strange or weird position, as in it wasn't controlling the turbo to boost. So, a little bit weird. Now, sometimes you can't prove, but I'm wondering, like, that control solenoid there is for the regulating valve. If that was changed out, is my normal test process that I'm doing here of no good? Is it not finding an intermittent control issue is in the solenoid? Could be getting stuck in some position or something that is, I don't know, getting stuck closed or something along those lines. What I do know is in there, that little limey green thing is a one-way valve. So when you disconnect all these lines off, the first thing that happens is on the MIDI vac, when you go to pull a vacuum with that, you have to give it about 10 pumps to start, because you need to fill a vacuum canister that's at the back of the engine or back of the block bolted on. So if I leave off the vacuum, from here on, it should only take about 2 pumps or so. Sorry, my camera's a little bit too far up. So 1, 2. So 2 pumps drew a vacuum. So all I'm doing, the one-way valve is doing its job. The vacuum canister on the back of the block bolted on to give a bigger volume of vacuum is doing its job with all the pipe work or the plumbing work, because it's able to hold and or contain that vacuum that's in there. I suppose if I left off that as well, and if I just got where's my screwdriver again? You'll actually nearly hear it if I'm quiet. When I pull off this, you'll hear you heard it there. So that little my voice there basically is showing me that that's all containing and holding a vacuum. So what the heck is going on here? I'm not seeing anything wrong in here vacuum related. I'm thinking my next port of call is because I had 40% duty cycle coming to that control solenoid, and it's that control solenoid that's for our regulating valve that's at the back, and yet we didn't have vacuum, or at least the control solenoid wasn't in its open position. So I'm thinking we're going to remove this, try and do a bit of bench testing on it and cross-reference to a new one, okay? I have just done a resistance check or test on both of these, and I had 10, I believe it was 10 anyway, 10 ohms of resistance, or was it one? I don't know. I put up 2 images because I just took a screenshot because I was holding the pins on the actual, holding the test lead, sorry, on the pins of the actuator, okay? This is actually a main dealer Mazda part that I have sitting here. Both of them are testing the same, so that test is not valid. But what I did notice, as I said, that's the new one. This is the old one, and I sprayed easing oil on these, and I sprayed it, actually, you can see it on with the block connector on it. So you can see a little line just there where it's kind of wet in here, but dry there. Now when I take off my block connector and I look in, if I can see this, can you see that? There's water or something in there. Come on, focus. There's water in there, but that's not actually from my easing oil. It is only from, looks like there's water ingress of some sort into the wiring harness. Now, any tests I've done don't really give me, I'm trying to put on my light so you can actually see the lume. I don't see a whole lot of water, and we can actually see the easing oil mark on that. I don't see a whole lot of water in the lume itself, but yet there maybe is something in there. So I think we're going to, from what tests we have and what conclusions we have so far, I think I'm going to replace and fit that control solenoid on here and see what happens. At least that's as much guidance as I can gather right now, or evidence. What I might do is I might actually do an actuation test on it and have my little Mitivac maybe on it to show. Am I seeing something around here? No, okay. It must have been, I saw it just when I pulled my little trigger, it didn't hold the vacuum. But it's, yeah, I might send the power on the ground into it, just see what happens. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong here or what, because all right, now I have a vacuum pulled on that. I'm going to go in here. Maybe I should try and keep it all in shot. Really nice to see. And my lead is going right across. Jeez, I tell you one thing, I'm fantastic, aren't I? Anyway, will we move again? That might be a little bit better. Okay, so she's holding the vacuum there at this point in time. Okay, we saw it a minute. But the minute I done that, then if I try and pull a vacuum, I cannot. It makes sense. So like I have, there we go. Now we vacuum back again. So again, we'll go in, try and again keep it in shot, and I'm getting that this is not great camera work out of me. Okay, vacuum gone, control solenoid operated. And then she decides to take it. Okay, point taken. That is our problem. I'm happy enough that that is going to be weirdly failing, but it is failing. Not the way I've seen it happen before. Anyway, there we go. In replacing these guys, I generally find that if you just kind of pull out of the solenoid, you generally can't get into the back of the nut. If you pull out of the solenoid, you just saw it there, you pull out of the solenoid, normally with plenty of easing oil on it, bolts will, you know, twist them or put the side latch up against the treads, or it'll normally come out handy enough with a little power tool. So trying to do it with a ratchet might be awkward, but that, you know, the inertia of trying to pull off the nut comes off relatively easy. Time to get this thing slapped back together, get it on the road and see what happens. First start, since I reassembled, we have a check engine light on, we have an engine inspection light on. In OE, we have no faults in powertrain control module, so we're getting out and getting into OBD. Okay guys, just into OBD, nothing in there either, so stupid cars. Here we have, still back in here, green tree, ABS is all invalid data received. I'm going to clear and erase and do a little bit of driving. Look at this crazy, silly stuff. Again, still in there, no codes. God knows, give it a drive, look at a little live data and cycle keys on and off. Maybe even disconnect the battery or some crack, will I? Okay guys, sorry about the shaky camera. Accelerator on the top. Regulating valves on the bottom. Foot now is going to go to the floor. We are back. Straight away I can feel it that I have boost back. Doing everything she should do. I'll show you that in a little bit more detail when I stop. I'll freeze it and I'll show you it again. Okay guys, here we are. We'll have a little look. So what was I doing here on this bit of a drive anyway? On this little bit of a drive, we'll see our throttle position here will be wide open. And once gone, give me wide open throttle. I was probably talking. So here we are. Am I just at a jumping past 100%? Jeez, I was driving easy there. I was looking at 100, or looking for 100%. Okay, here we are. Wide open throttle at this point in time. Driving on, boost, pressure desired, bit slow, bit lower. Now I do have a flap, changeover flap in this thing that I actually put a video up. I'm after advising the man it's going to break, so I'm not too wickedly concerned about that. This bit that wasn't working is bothering me totally. I want to see that where that was dropping off on me, and when it was dropping off, I wasn't a happy camper and I had no boost. Straight away in the immediate, I do have right now boost, and I do sometimes see where I would have a slight little discrepancy between our desired and actual on our boost pressure. Now I haven't been in on intake manifolds or any of this kind of stuff, so we could have a map sensor slightly blocked or any of these things. I was only after this stuff, okay? Why was I not getting a load of torque when I wanted torque? Why was I not getting that to be somewhere close to that, the regulating valve desired and actual? And that's what I was after, and that control solenoid has done that. So, also as well, what my lights, I had no faults, as you saw, and lights on autopress, cycle of the key, and once I gave it a drive, and once I gave it a little bit of a drive, top of the street, so cycle the key on and off, lights were gone, because we knew we had no faults in here. But on this occasion, we are done and dusted. But again, it shows that there's variations. So if someone asks me a question, why does my car not going right? I done this and I done that and everything is right. The fact of the matter, if it's not going right, everything is not right. Also, the fact of the matter is, me on comments and stuff like that on YouTube, I can't tell you the answers to this thing. How do I tell someone about that? You can look at my videos and you can try and figure out from there what to do, but it's very hard to point someone in a direction of where they're going and how to fix the problem. In this case, he has been told that he needs that flap to be done, because it's going to break and it's going to go in there on top of a turbo. But right now we have boost back. Our problem is gone. I suppose it wouldn't be a whole lot, but I've done, 5 mile maybe or so on this thing with boost pressure back. So look, guys, hope that wasn't too long-winded. Again, it's very similar to where we're at, but it's a different variation. So if you know what you have and you think you're going somewhere and going to, oh, this is going to be easy, well, lo and behold, boom, and it just goes a little bit topsy-turvy. It takes a different route, sends you on a different track. But for now, it's done. It's gone back together and going back to the customer. He has asked me about doing that flap, so I don't know if I have time to do it in the immediate. But if it is, I'm going to be doing it straight away. If not, we'll leave it on to another lad. 2 lads bet on this, and a big shout out to the AA, because the AA in Ireland, I think 3 AA members directed him towards me to get this thing resolved, because he was getting angry with lads that had been working on it. So yeah, woohoo, job done. Makes you smile sometimes when these things work out for you. When they go wrong, doesn't make you smile, makes you frown. But anyway, lads, see y'all next cartoon. Peter Kennedy signing out. Thanks for watching, guys.